What's going on, YouTube? It's that comic guy Chris, and today we're going to do another one of these contest videos. This time we're starting with Metarog, and Metarog is the guy that got this all started for me, actually, because I had never seen any of these other guys that were doing contests until I went to Metarog's page. And the only reason I found his page was because I was doing a little research. I needed to find out about some of the JCPenney variants and different things like that so I could continue working on the Uncanny Run, because I had a couple of videos that I wanted to do, but I needed more information. Lo and behold, he's got some fantastic videos done on variants, not just for X-Men, but for, you know, Marvel, DC, all the different things. So definitely check him out. Link will be in the description as usual. But the cool thing about Metarog's contest is he's not only doing it to help him gain some subscribers, he's doing it to put other people on the map as well. So one of his rules, and we'll read over his rules, but anyway, one of his rules is to make sure that you link, comment, and talk about another YouTuber that you would like to promote. And I've got the perfect person in mind. He does have a pretty decent little following starting, but I think he could go a lot further. He's just a joy to watch, but you'll hear about him later. And he's not really just, he probably has a few comics, but he's mostly known for action figures and video games, and really going around and promoting other people in the community as well. So like Metarog, he's a guy that reaches out and tries to help other people be better as well. So let's go over the rules. Rule number 1, you got to be 18. I'm definitely over 18, even though my last video I lied and said I just turned 18. But you guys know I'm in my 30s. I'm trying to recollect my childhood, trying to relive the dreams that I had when I was, you know, 13, 12, somewhere around that line. But I grew up, got a job, took a family to the knee, you know, ended my career. No, I like my family. They're pretty cool. Check out my son's videos as well. He does some cool stuff. Anyway, so you got to be 18. You got to link this video back to the contest page. Easy. We'll get that done. Number 4, what made you a collector? I got a pretty cool little story with that. Number 5, you got to recommend a channel, and you got to have it in by March 25th. So I got to get this video recorded, I got to get it edited, I got to get it put up. So let's jump into this, shall we? All right. So what is it that made me a collector? Well, when I first got comic books, it's because my mom brought them home every once in a while. I remember the first comic I got was Harvey Comics' Richie Rich. It was I'm pretty sure it had #1 on the cover, as they relaunched that all the time. But anyway, so I had that, and then about a month later, she bought me one of the Valiant Nintendo comics, which I went ecstatic for. That was awesome. And I got a few more along the way, just odds and ends, and it's very random. But the comic that got me started, and if you've been subscribed to this channel, you already know this, but the comic that really got me started and sent me down this road, it's X-Men #13. I got this, I read it, I had no idea what was going on in this story. This is actually the end of a 2-part story. In fact, I didn't even know what really got this story started or going until much later, after going to college. So, but anyway, Mom brought this home. I was completely just hooked on it right then. So I'd saved a little, you know, we got our allowance and stuff. So I actually took my own money this time, went down to Rite Aid, and I think it was about 3 issues later, I got that. It was right after Executioner song, so I got that issue. It might have been 18. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, I bought that. And the cartoon was getting ready to come out. It's, you know, everybody's talking about X-Men, and it was just like the perfect time to really sink your teeth into being into comics. Now, when I first started, it was all about reading comics. And then Walmart started getting the packages together. This is during the comic boom, so they're getting their packages in, and we find a collector's kit. It's got a few bags and boards in it, and a little guide by Comic Book Buyer's Guide in it. And it talked about conventions, and I said, oh man, I can't wait to go to these conventions. But it wasn't like it is now. Like, you go to a convention, it might have one up in Indianapolis every once in a while, where you had to go all the way out to San Diego or New York, a long way away. They didn't have like trade shows around here, but I digress. But you know, I read all about the golden age, the silver age, everything in that little guide. And it was at that moment that I really felt like I became a collector. Like I wanted to go out, I wanted to collect, and I knew in my heart that I wanted X-Men #1. And you guys probably think I'm talking about Uncanny X-Men #1, but I'm actually talking about this, X-Men #1. And so I started with 13, so this has been out for a little while. But luckily, this was printed so many times that it was shoved in every little collector's pack that Walmart got. And I got to meet Stan Lee a few years ago, and there was a lot of debate over what I should take. Should I take an older comic? Should I find one that Stan wrote? Or should I get X-Men 13 signed? Which I really, if I go back again, I'm getting that one signed. But I got this one signed because this was my X-Men #1. This is the X-Men series that started me. And it had to be signed by Stan Lee. And, you know, when I was standing in line to get it done, there's a lot of people around me with a bunch of different comics, much older, much more expensive. But, yeah. And this means so much to me. Like, this is the only thing I have signed by Stan Lee. And X-Men, man. X-Men just means a lot to me. It's my childhood. It's my future. It's what I hope to leave my son one day if he wants it. If he doesn't, we'll donate it to a good cause. But hopefully he'll want them. But yeah, man, that's how I got started as a collector, and it all kind of snowballed from there. I bought a lot when I went to college and stuff because eBay was new. Prices were much cheaper. I mean, I picked up like X-Men 101 for just a few dollars. Just all sorts of great comic books. But I ended up getting sick around 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. And I had a lot of surgeries and stuff done where I had Crohn's disease. Then my son was born. He was born prematurely, so that a lot of that stuff. So I just did what you do when you're a dad and when you're a husband. You make some sacrifices. So I sold everything off. And this is before the big movie boom. So a lot of the comics I sold are extremely expensive now. But I sold them off, paid off some bills, and kept ourselves from going into foreclosure and stuff like that. Then about 2015, I jumped back in, met up with all the guys in the community and stuff, some new friends, and I've just started collecting again and really just absolutely want to collect every single issue from the Uncanny X-Men run, every variant, every price change on it, foreign issues, everything. I just want to keep collecting that forever because it's my favorite series, and I love it. I love all that X-Men stuff. But enough about me. Let's talk about the channel that I want to recommend. Now, if you're into action figure, and I feel like a lot of people who collect comics are, we like figures and stuff, but I was born in the 80s, but, you know, and I did a lot with He-Man, G.I. Joe, and Ninja Turtles. Like, I was just in that, like, just sweet spot. I had some real Ghostbusters, that kind of stuff. But anyway, I kind of get a little nostalgic for that kind of stuff too. So that's when I was digging around on YouTube one day and I stumbled across a guy named Justice Cury. And he had just really great room full of G.I. Joes and stuff. And I watched a couple of his videos. I liked it. But it was his latest video that he put up. And he's talking about how 5 years ago, he was going down a dark path, and he was struggling with alcohol addiction, and it was just making him an awful person, and, you know, it was really destroying his life. And he found, you know, wanting to go back and recapture his childhood with G.I. Joe and stuff, and it really, really helped pull him away from that. And he's been sober for a long time now, and I was just really, you know, I really loved hearing that story because you don't hear a lot of, like, you know, stories like that where people are going through trials and tribulation, or people don't want to share them. We all go through them. But, you know, for him to put that out there and say that, you know, this really motivated him, and doing the YouTube videos and being in the community and stuff like that really helped him, I thought was great, because that's a good testimony to other people who are struggling too. You know, say, hey, if he can do it, you know, there's hope, I can do it too. So I wanted to give him a shout out. I guess I'll give Metarog a shout out on here too, because your videos are really very, very informative. You're very knowledgeable about what you know, different price variants. The JCPenney stuff was great because I didn't know all that stuff. I'd been randomly collecting them one at a time, but you've got them actually figured out by sets and all that stuff. So that was great information to come across. But this video is getting really long, so I'm going to cut it short. Well, not short. I'm going to cut it right here. But anyway, guys, this has been That Comic Guy Chris. Remember to check in the description down here for the 2 links to the guys I mentioned. And keep on collecting.